am going to introduce Shoshana. As always, we are, as a group, incredibly have a kara satov to all the teachers who come on, each one in her own beautiful, amazing way that she gives over her beauty, her neshama. I say it all the time. We are just, we're so humbled by all the women, and Shoshana is definitely somebody that we should be humbled by. Shoshana Judelman is passionate about teaching Torah and Jewish history. She holds a BA in history and an MA in Jewish history. She's made Aliyah with her husband and 6 children to Efrat in 2013. Shoshana teaches Chassidus for the Shirat David Community in Efrat, as well as in Yerushalayim for Midreshet Rachel Vechaya. She is a guide in Yad Vashem and works with JRoots as a guide in Poland. Shoshana also co-leads inspirational trips to Ukraine and around Eretz Yisrael. With that, I'm going to take myself off. Thank you, Shoshana. Thank you so much. Are you there?
I'm here. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nomi, for all your hard work to put this together all the time. And happy Pesach Sheni, everyone. I hope that everyone got a chance to have some matzah. It's a very big skula for today to open the pathway of second chances, the pathway of that we can always return to Hashem. And if it's not, from the straight pathway, through the open door, then it's around the back. So that's a good thing. Hashem opened that pathway for us, and we should be blessed to always take advantage of all of the, we call it like a spiritual hack, really, that Hashem gave us to connect to Him. Be'ezrat Hashem. So I'd like to share with you some of what I've been experiencing for the past year. As Nomi said, I teach at Midrash Rachel. So Midrash Rachel is a seminary in Yerushalayim. It's part of Chappelle's. It's a wonderful, wonderful place where beautiful women come to learn Torah if they hadn't had a chance already in their lives to learn Torah. So Bali Tshuva, and also women from various from homes, but who may not have had the full-on Torah education that they want. And it's very much a text-based learning institution. So last year, around this time, one of my students, she's Sephardi, and she had been doing a series of like 40 days of this and 40 days of that, and all of this basically to open the doorway to find her bashert. And she asked me if I would consider doing 40 days of Shir Hashirim. Now, as soon as she asked me that, my heart just kind of went, sunk in my chest, because Shir Hashirim, I think the last time that I tried to learn Shir Hashirim, I went to Jewish day school, and I think I fell asleep during Shir Hashirim in 7th grade. I definitely did not understand any of the depth of the beauty of the holiness of Shir Hashirim. And so I was very nervous to take it on. But, she asked me so nicely, and it was for such a good cause. So I said yes. And then I thought, like, how am I going to actually do this? And with, I found all these different sources, and I looked online, and I tried to find as many books as I possibly could. And then essentially what I decided to do was to, after a few days of introduction, was to really go pasuk by pasuk and use whatever sources I could find on each of the psukim, or sometimes I do like 2 or 3 psukim at a time if they go together. And my main source is the Midrash Rabbah, okay, Midrash Rabbah Shir Hashirim. Chazal have beautiful interpretations in there. And then, as always, my go-to is Chassidus. So whatever Chassidus I can find, Sefaria is an amazing source. Everybody should support Sefaria. And that's really how we started. And I since I started learning Shir Hashirim, I've become more and more connected to it. It was only after, so I'll tell you that we did the first 40 days, and then she actually asked me to do a second 40 days. So we did a second 40 days, and then at the end of the second 40 days, she told me she got engaged, and she told me that she met her bashert literally on the day of the 40th day of the first session of 40 days. That's when she met him. And by the end of the second 40 days, she was already engaged to him. So Baruch Hashem, she got married. And and we should see lots of revealed brachas from our learning always. But it really, for me, it was I in her zchus, I found the language of my soul. It was only later that someone pointed out to me that my name is actually Shoshana Yona. And Shoshana and Yona are two words that appear kind of all over Shir Hashirim. So Baruch Hashem, I really feel like very, very connected to Megillat Shir Hashirim. So with that introduction, I'm basically, I just want to open the door for everybody. I've been sending out like short videos basically every day. I'm doing another session now. This time I'm going to go through the whole Sefer, the whole Megillah, because we didn't finish the whole Megillah, and this time I'm planning on going through the whole Megillah. However long that takes, it's not going to be 40 days. We're already up to date number 26. But we're going to, Bezat Hashem, continue the whole thing. So, and it's really just, it's such a beautiful doorway into a beautifully flavored, beautifully colored relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I feel like at this time in the world, as crazy as it is, we need love songs and we need love notes. We need to feel Hashem's love for us. And that's really what Shir Hashirim is all about. So Shlomo HaMelech said Shir Hashirim. He said it on the day that the Beis HaMikdash, the first Beis HaMikdash, was dedicated. And essentially, Chazal tell us that, he said it through Ruach HaKodesh. It's also, the credit is also given to Chizkiyahu HaMelech, because I guess we could say he like edited it into place. But of course, the most famous thing about Shir Hashirim is really how it got included in Tanakh in the first place. So when we read Shir Hashirim, we see that it really is a love song. It really is. It has very passionate language in it. It has very beautiful descriptions, very very loving and really like visual descriptions of beauty and of passionate love. And so on the surface, it seems like a very strange fit for Tanakh. But of course, we know that Rabbi Akiva was the champion of Shir Hashirim. He is quoted in the Gemara as saying, the world was never as worthy as on the day that Shir Hashirim was given to Am Yisrael. That the whole world essentially was created for Shir Hashirim to be given to Am Yisrael, to Bnei Yisrael. And then he said this famous line, because all of the writings are holy, but Shir Hashirim is the holiest of the holies, right? It's Kodesh HaKadoshim. And we know Kodesh HaKadoshim is also a reference to Mamash in the Beis HaMikdash, the innermost heart, the innermost sanctuary of the Beis HaMikdash, where only the Kohen Gadol and only in certain times can go, and that is like the essence. It's like the center, the core of our relationship with Hashem. And so what Rabbi Akiva was saying is that Shir Hashirim represents that in book form, that it is like the essence of our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the beauty of Shir Hashirim is that all of us can go into it at all times. The Zohar actually tells us that in Shir Hashirim is embedded the entire Torah. It embodies the whole Torah. There are many, many references. And really, when you go through the Shir Hashirim Rabbah, almost every pasuk, Chazal kind of they pull back and they say, like, this is a reference to Avraham, and this is a reference to Yitzchak, and this is a reference to Yaakov, and this is a reference to Yosef, and this is a reference to Am Yisrael in Mitzrayim, and this is a reference to Am Yisrael leaving Mitzrayim, and this is a reference to this galus and that galus, and this geula and that geula, and all of these, all of the events of Jewish history can be found in Shir Hashirim, which makes it, of course, this multi-layered, beautiful tapestry of references. And we don't even know the half of it, I'm sure. I mean, even with the Ruach HaKodesh of Chazal, there are things that are still being revealed, because there are Sifrei Chassidut on Shir Hashirim with ideas that are so applicable for us today, that are kind of, newer. They're based in, of course, the Megillah itself and the Ruach HaKodesh of Chazal, but they bring it forward to a place where we can really connect to it. So I'm gonna finish like the introduction, and then I'm gonna give you a few examples of psukim from Shir Hashirim that have really given me strength, and I hope will give you strength also. But before we go into that, we'll just say that, of course, Shir Hashirim on the surface in the wording is, of course, this love song between a man and a woman. But Chazal tell us, and we understand that it's much deeper than that it's really an allegory, okay? But there are really three opinions or three pathways that this allegory can take, and they're all interwoven. We can read every single pasuk in Shir Hashirim as a reference to Am Yisrael and Hashem, that Am Yisrael is the woman and Hashem is the man and the lover and the beloved, and that this is really a whole tapestry of our relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's one pathway. The next pathway is our relationship, each one of us as an individual with Hashem. So there's the story of Am Yisrael, and then there's a story of each one of us as an individual. And then on top of that, the third pathway is that, and this is like less common, but we still see it. The Malbim is really the main source of this. But he says that the story is really the story of the soul and the body, that the soul and the body have this ongoing relationship, and they're always there's bumps in the road, and they're always kind of at a misstep with each other, and that we can read that relationship in Shir Hashirim. So every single pasuk has all three of these aspects in it. And I think that it's multi-layered, like that's what makes it so shayach for today, right? Every single one of us is, has many, many hats that we wear, right? We're mothers, we're wives, we're sisters, we're daughters, we're teachers, we're friends, we're community members, we're spokespeople for Am Yisrael, we have an online presence, or we have an in-person presence with the people around us. There's so many, we wear so many different hats. And so, the sifrei of the writings of Tanakh really help us, and Shir Hashirim specifically, because it also is multi-layered. We can find ourselves in it. We can hear how that voice of multi-layeredness today can work out and can be holy, and we can find chizuk for all the different layers that we are living in, the different layers of Shir Hashirim. Okay. One thing that the Netziv says about Shir Hashirim is very interesting, is that, right, we know that the other two Sfarim that are written, that are authored by, that are attributed to Shlomo Melech, are Koheles and Mishlei. So Koheles we read on Sukkot. That's the Megillah that we read on Sukkot, and Shir Hashirim we read on Pesach. So the Netziv points out this beautiful idea that Sukkot was really, in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, Sukkot was this like universal holiday, that all of the other nations came and the korbanot were brought on their behalf, and so it was like this world coming together. And so Koheles is like this general book of advice and of hashkafa, we'll call it, right? It's also very, very deep, and that it deserves its own year of learning. But it really has more sort of like universal aspects to it. But Shir Hashirim we read on Pesach, and Pesach is when only Am Yisrael would come to the Beis Hamikdash, and Shir Hashirim is really this unique description of our special relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu as Am HaNivchar, as the chosen nation, chosen with a special mission, and therefore we need special chizuk to accomplish this mission. Okay. All right, one more introductory idea. Okay, two more actually, is that when Rabbi Akiva said that the world was like the whole world was created for this day of giving Shir Hashirim, but that the generation of Shlomo Melech was particularly worthy of it. Why was the generation of Shlomo Melech particularly worthy of it? Because it was the generation where everything was Torah based. right? That we had a king that was, rooted in Torah. We had a government, I guess you could call it, that was rooted in Torah. We had the Beis Hamikdash, and therefore that was the center of our lives. That was the character of the state and the politics, and the national identity was all based on Torah and godliness. And therefore, that is the essence of Shir Hashirim. It's so amazing to see, because when you, like I said before, when you look at the words of Shir Hashirim, it's like this passionate love story. But it's so kedai for us to understand that everything can be used in the service of Hashem. And so it's important for us to see something like a love song that we can take apart and see our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in that, something that the rest of the world could see as physical, or as something that's very materialistic, or it's very not so holy, right? We see that it is very, very holy, that relationships are very holy. And so the nation, or the generation that could make government holy, was also the generation that could look at Shir Hashirim with the right eyes and see that a love story is holy, and a love story between every husband and wife is holy, and the love story between Am Yisrael and Hashem is holy, and that there's a deeper depth really to everything in the world, and Shir Hashirim kind of opens the doorway to that. Okay, the last thing I want to say before I give you some examples is that the Nesivos Shalom brings out a very, very important point, and that is that essentially all of the other books of Tanakh really rely on and describe and bring out the relationship of Hashem with Am Yisrael as a parent and a child, right? We say all the time, B'ni B'chori Yisrael, right? You're my firstborn child, right? We Avinu Malkeinu. We discuss Hashem as our father all of the time. We have Hashem as our king all of the time. But Shir Hashirim was really gave us the language to think about Hashem as our husband, okay? And what's the difference between a parent-child relationship and a husband-wife relationship, right? A parent-child relationship is obviously this is in an ideal space, but is much more stable, okay? And I'm using that word on purpose, right? Meaning a parent is always the parent of that child. The child is always the child of that parent, okay? The relationship itself might get a little bit rocky as the child grows, right? But there's never a moment when that child is not the child of that parent. And there's never a moment when the parent is not the parent of that child. And what the parent-child dynamic is supposed to be is this unconditional love, right? It's just ongoing, it's just love all the time. And we need to feel that from Hashem. We need to feel that Hashem has unconditional love for us, that no matter what we do, he will always, always, always love us. We will always be his child. We need that. But there's another aspect, because unfortunately, we don't always feel that. We don't always feel Hashem holding us and supporting us and giving us a hug like a mother gives a child a hug and it's all better, right? We don't always feel that. And so Shir Hashirim actually gives us the language to understand that there are different aspects of our relationship with Hashem. And there's also this husband-wife relationship. And a husband-wife relationship is actually a very unstable relationship. It depends on every interaction, right? An interaction between a husband and a wife can be a positive one or a negative one. It basically can never be a neutral one. And essentially but that's also beautiful, because when we have a positive interaction, that's amazing and it's beautiful. And when we have, an interaction that causes us to feel distant, what then does that open for us? It opens for us the feeling of yearning. We didn't have the feeling of yearning before Shir. We didn't have words to describe that feeling, that we don't feel close to Hashem, but we yearn to feel close to Hashem, right? I feel separate from Hashem. There's some issue between us, Ki'ilu, right? But that aspect that I love him and I want to feel close to him. I yearn for that closeness. That is the relationship between a husband and a wife. Between a wife and a husband. And that's what Shir Hashirim opened for us, that we have this understanding that, it's not always constant, but when we feel further away, chas v'shalom, that's not a reflection of not having a relationship. It's just a reflection of the dynamic of the relationship, that sometimes we feel further away and sometimes we feel closer. And when we feel further away, we can tap into this concept of yearning. And that actually, Rabbi Nachman says, the relationship is in the yearning, right? As soon as you have the yearning, you're already open. You already have an open heart to Hashem. And that gives us a lot of koach, because if we think that it always has to feel, or it's always supposed to is always a word that triggers our yetzer hara, triggers our doubt, right? So if we think that it's supposed to always feel, warm and fuzzy and wonderful, and we don't feel like that, so then where do we have to turn? Where can we turn? Where can we go with that? But if we don't feel warm, if we feel like distant, then Shir Hashirim opens for us this lashon. Okay. So now I'm going to look for him. Now I'm going to go out and I'm going to look for him because I want to have that closeness. And that's what Shir Hashirim opened for us. So I'm going to give you a few examples. And really, this is, I believe very much that, am I able to share the screen? Is there a way to make me?
Yeah, I'm gonna make you the co-host, and then you can share.
Amazing,
Perfect.
thank you. So I really believe that there's an aspect of he'emanti ki adaber here, right? The more we read Shir Hashirim, and there are communities that read Shir Hashirim every Erev Shabbos, right? Sephardim read Shir Hashirim every Erev Shabbos, and also all of us, really. The lashon of L'chadodi that we sing and during Kabbalat Shabbat has aspects of Shir Hashirim. It's the same emotion that's being brought out in L'chadodi. It's the same husband-wife yearning, passionate love kind of description that's being described there. So we all really bring this into our Shabbos, but it's really good to memorize one or two psukim of Shir Hashirim. It happens to be that the very first pasuk, Shir Hashirim Asher L'Shlomo, is, I see there's another Shoshana here, so I'll tell you that's the pasuk, the name pasuk for the name Shoshana. So it's all hashgacha pratis. That so just to say that pasuk, Shir Hashirim Asher L'Shlomo, right? Every time we say a pasuk, we connect to Hakadosh Baruch Hu. So he'emanti ki adaber, we enforce, or we increase our faith, our emunah, through speaking about these things, through using these words, through saying the words of Shir Hashirim. So there's a few psukim that I'd like to share with you. Okay, so if you don't have the screen open, it's okay. You don't have to. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to read the psukim anyway, but it'll just be easier if I have them up here for me. So, okay. So a random smattering of psukim that I fell in love with. Okay. Ani chavatzelet hasharon Shoshana ta'amakim. This is the second. It's a parak base pasuk base. Okay, second pasuk in the second chapter. Ani chavatzelet hasharon is like, I am a rose of the Sharon. Shoshana ta'amakim. Okay, so and a rose of the valleys. Okay, there's this interchange between like, what's a Shoshana? Is it a rose? Is it a lily? Lots of different interpretations. Okay, but we can always translate it as rose. We could always translate it as lily. It kind of depends on the pasuk, but right here we're going to translate it as rose. Okay, so ani chavatzelet hasharon. There's a discussion amongst a chazal. What is a chavatzelet? And it's translated as also rose. So Rabbi Yudan, he says that the chavatzelet, here I'm going to stop the share for 1 second so you can see my hands. Okay, the chavatzelet is that green part that is like the cup that the rose sits in. Okay, and it's like closed, and when the rose is young, and then as it blossoms, that chavatzelet part, it opens, and the rose kind of comes up out of that. Okay, so where do they get this from? From the word tzel. Okay, tzel is like shade or a covering. Okay, so chavatzelet is like this young rose that hasn't yet been sort of like revealed. Okay, but another way of thinking about this concept, okay, is that Rabbi Yudan says that when the chavatzelet grows bigger, it's called a Shoshana, okay? But further on in the Midrash there, it says a Shoshana me'amakim, okay, means a rose in the valleys. And Chazal say that a rose in the valley is more nurtured, is more is healthier, can grow better than a rose on the mountains, like in the Sharon, because it gets more moisture. It gets more the air, whatever. They have a whole discussion in Chazal. The air in the valley is moisture, and therefore, and the wind isn't as strong, and therefore the rose that grows in the valley can blossom stronger. It can grow more beautifully. So here we have a pasuk, okay, and we have Chazal's interpretation of that pasuk. Why are these words being chosen? Why Chavatzelet? Why Sharon? Why Shoshana? Why Emek? Why Amakim? Okay. But let's pull back for a second and look at that with like the eyes of what we need to see, right? One of the concepts is that the Chavatzelet covers up the rose, and it's not really the rose. It's something else, but what's inside is really the rose. So the Chidushei Arim, he says, this is like Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael may look like one thing on the outside, because and we'll take the other interpretation also with the roses on the mountains and in the valley, right? Because we've had very harsh conditions. We've lived in very harsh conditions. We've been sent into Galus. We've had nations that have, pounced on us. We have nations that have persecuted us throughout Jewish history. And so therefore, that's why we are maybe not as beautiful as we possibly could be if we were given the right conditions to grow in. Like the Shoshana me Amakim, right? In the valley, if we were given those conditions, then we would be beautiful. What does that really mean? It means that sometimes we make bad choices. Sometimes we make mistakes. This world is a very, very confusing world. And we may not be looking our best in terms of like mitzvahs and in terms of our kesher to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because we've been covered up. We're hiding from the conditions of the world. And we're waiting for, to be nurtured. We're waiting for Hashem to come and to give us, proper conditions so that we can really grow into the beautiful nation that he put us here to be. Okay, so just one idea from one pasuk. Here's another one. Okay, so further on in Perek Beis, it says, Domeh dodi latzvi, right? My beloved is like a gazelle, o la'ofer ha'ayalim, or like a young stag. Hine ze omed achar katlenu, mashkiach min hachalonot. There he stands behind our wall. He's like gazing or watching over us through the window. Metzitz min hacharakim. He's peeking through charakim, are like holes in the wood, right? So like a lattice, okay? Like like when it goes like a checkerboard form, like a fence, okay? So it's like peeking through the holes in the fence. And the Baal Shem Tov has this beautiful concept here. He says, Kasher matchil ha'adam litpalel, miyad keshe'omer Hashem tzvatai tiftach, right? As soon as a person starts to daven, as soon as they say, Hashem, please open my lips, Hashchina mitlabeshet bo. So the Shechina is enclosed in that person. Umidaberet hadiburim. And the Shechina is really, as soon as you ask Hashem to be with you in your davening, so then it's really Hashem who's keilu, like doing the davening with you or for you even. And when a person has that faith that Hashem is actually with me in saying these words, bevadai tfol alav ema ve'yira, right? And so immediately it falls on me like fear, okay, like awe and respect. V'gam HaKadosh Baruch Hu kavyachol mitzamtzem et atzmo v'shoreh etzlo kmo, and Hashem is essentially like, making himself constricted and smaller to be within us and also to be like in our space of davening. And he quotes here the pasuk, Metzitz min hacharakim. He's peeking in the gaps. And what is that? What does the Baal Shem Tov say? He says, me ha'otiot, shehem ha'yechalot. Okay? That Hashem is like peeking out at us from between the words of Shirat Shirim, or from within the letters of Shirat Shirim. that, or from any letters of tefillah, right? That metzitz min hacharakim is like Hashem is, can you imagine, like Hashem kavyachol, right? Like peeking out at us as we're saying the words of the davening. We should like, we could have that image, obviously not an image of Hashem, but like, you know, whatever image we connect to, whatever vision, whatever visual we connect to, that Hashem is kind of like peeking at us and like winking at us, you know, from within the davening and saying like, yes, I'm with you. Keep on davening, keep on going, like that. I don't know if you're finding these as beautiful as I do, but I absolutely love
it's amazing, Shoshana. It's actually amazing. Keep going. It's unbelievable. Go.
Okay, good. I'll do one more. Okay, this one more is really a mashal from the Baal Shem Tov. It has to do with it's like 4 psukim. Okay, but we'll read them. We'll go through them. So there's a mashal from the Baal Shem Tov. Actually, I'll say the mashal first. There's a mashal from the Baal Shem Tov that every aspect of spiritual growth is like a parent who's teaching their child to walk. Okay, so just like a parent, you know, with a toddler, let's say a 1-year-old, a 1.5-year-old, right? When you're teaching them to walk, what do you do first? You hold both of their hands and you kind of like walk with them, right? But then that's not really teaching the child how to walk. So what do? You let go, right? You let go when the child is ready, but you still, maybe before they think that they're ready, right? You let go. The child maybe falls, or maybe gives you a look of surprise, or maybe like, what's happening here, right? And then eventually that child, you know, you stand in front of them and you say, come, you know, come to me. And the child walks. And that's really the process, okay? And the Baal Shem Tov says that this is actually the process of every spiritual leap forward. Every single time we have this same idea that Hashem gives us like some inspiration, and then he pulls away. And the whole point of him pulling away is so that we reach for him, so that we develop the muscles, the spiritual muscles, to reach that next level. So we just see that in these psukim, which are so beautiful. Hate'ena chanta pageha, the green figs, the young figs form on the vine. Vehagfanim smadar natnu reach, and the vines and blossom give off fragrance. Kumi lechi, or lech, lach, rayati, yafati, ulechi lach, right? So this is Hashem holding us and giving us comfort and giving us strength and giving us confidence. You're so beautiful. You smell so wonderful. I'm going to hold you. You can do it. You can walk. We're going to do it together. You have this like new burst of energy. Okay. But then what happens? Yonati b'chagave hasela b'seter hamadrega, right? Oh, then we're like a dove that's in the crevice of the rocks, right? And we're hidden by the cliff. Hareini et marech, show me your face. Hashmini et kolech, let me hear your voice. Ki kolech arev umarech naveh, because your voice is sweet and your face is comely. So we're already like, Hashem is kind of like pulled back, but he's giving us still encouragement. He's giving us this encouragement. No, you can do it. You can do it. But we're already like, oh no, we're in the seter, right? We're in the hiddenness. We're in the hastara. Hashem is hidden from us. Echazu lanu shoalim ktanim mechablim, right? Then the foxes catch us, the little foxes that are like terrorists. Kramim ukramenu smadar. They're terrorizing the vineyards. And even though our vineyard is in blossom, even though we do have like the koach, but the Chazal tell us that, or the Baal Shem Tov tells us, that echazu lanu shoalim ktanim mechablim is like the Yetzer Hara, right? Mechablim, we all know that word, right? It's terrorizing us. It's saying, no, the reason that you feel distant from Hashem pulled away from you because he doesn't want you anymore. Chas v'shalom. We should recognize this for what it is. It's just part of the growth process. Hashem pulls away from us so that we can develop our own muscles, so that we have the kelim, the vessels, to stand on the next level, right? What happens if you put a 1-year-old child onto stairs? They're not ready for it. First, they have to learn how to walk, and then they can learn how to do the stairs, right? So we have to develop these muscles in order to get to the next level. And then finally, we come back together again. Dodi li ve'ani lo haro'eh bashoshanim, right? My beloved is mine, and I am his, who browses among the lilies. And that, the Baal Shem Tov says, is this final stage of that we have exercised our muscles. We have reached the place where we can now walk with Hashem like one-handed, right? Like next to each other, right? Because we've developed new strengths until it all starts again. And then Hashem lifts us up to the next row, and then he pulls back, And then it goes over and over and over again. And we see that beautifully laid out for us in those psukim. So I'll give us all a bracha that that you should open Shir Hashirim. I actually have a WhatsApp group. If anybody, I can send out the join link if you'd like. I send out one 3-minute video every day with the psukim, and we're journeying through. That's what I'm calling it, journey through Shir Hashirim. And it's a Megillah that needs we need to utilize it. It's so beautiful. It's so mechazik, and it has so many answers for us in it. So I give us all a bracha that we should learn it and we should be mechazik from it.
Shoshana, first of all, you send me the link and I'm going to share it with the group for sure. But this was unbelievable. It was amazing, because you know what, I used to say Shir Hashirim all the time, and I'm going to start again now.
Wow.
And the way you brought the psukim to life and our relationship with Hashem was so gorgeous. It was something unbelievable, and things you don't think of, like the way it almost like exactly what you said. It almost gave you nechama in the way that it was interpreted, all these, and how Hashem is showing us how much He loves us and how the journey to get to Hashem. It was unbelievable. I love this.
I'm so glad it's there for all of us. It's open for all of us. I encourage you all, just open it up and take a look, because it's just so beautiful, and it's ours.
But you get a lot of credit in how you went and researched and did and brought it. What you did now was bring it to life. Like you fed it to us. It was like whipped cream. I don't know how to. You opened up what seemed scary because it's intimidating, those words, but you made it beautiful.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem.
Please share that link.
I will.
I will for sure. Okay. It was amazing, Shoshana. How was Poland, by the way? How was Poland? Good?
It was beautiful. It was amazing. It was so amazing. Baruch Hashem.
When are you doing another women's trip?
Bezrat Hashem in November. Bezrat Hashem. I'll send out details as soon as we have them.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. This was so unbelievable. Thank you. Amazing.
Thank you so much. Next level.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.